everyone, welcome back. I'm Carrie and this is Keep It Simple DIY. Today I want to share with you 7 ways to save money by preventing food waste. So my very first tip is that when you have leftovers, make sure to keep an eye on them, and if it gets to the point where you're really not eating them, make sure to freeze them. So I made this orzo pasta dish not too long ago, just a couple days, and we have a ton of food in our freezer right now, and I don't think we are going to get to all of it. And so I am going to package this up into 2 individual sized freezer portions. I could have just put this whole thing in the freezer, but half of it was empty and I didn't want to, take up extra space in the fridge or in the freezer with just empty Tupperwares. So I am just getting this in here. I made some nut rolls for Christmas, and I made quite a few different cookies, nut rolls, and I got a bunch of cookies from my neighbors too. And so I don't need all of these. If Nick and I ate all of those right now, that'd be a lot of cookies. So I am going to freeze them as well, and we will be able to eat them throughout the year. So making sure to put your food in the freezer so it doesn't go bad saves you money in 2 different ways. The first way is that you didn't waste the money that you spent on that food. The second way is that now I have 2 meals that, had I not froze right now, would probably have gone bad and I would have lost it. So there's 2 meals that I don't have to pay for again, basically. Another thing I like to do is have everything packaged in a size that works for my family. So for my family, we like to eat either single serve meals or just, there's only 2 of us here, so smaller meals. So I will use the single serve meals often and put them in my freezer, or I will do freezer meals that are like half of an 8x13. Let me show you. You've probably seen it many times before, but I do like to use these little tiny pans for our freezer meals. These seem to be the perfect size for us to have, like each of us have dinner and then have like 1 leftover for one of us. A lot of times what I'll do is, if I want to cook a lot of food at once, I will actually cook up 2 of these, but I won't cook up 2 that are the same, because we don't want to eat the same thing over and over and over. Whereas if we use like a 9x13 pan, we definitely would be eating the same thing over and over, or we would be wasting the food. So definitely important to package things up in the size that is most appropriate for you and your family's needs. Another tip that I like to do is to repurpose my leftovers. I recently had a bowl, like a burrito bowl for dinner, and then I repurposed my leftovers into enchiladas, and I also made a freezer meal of that. And so that's a good way too. That way you're not wasting your food and you're not having to eat the same thing over and over again if you happen to make too much of it, is that then you don't have to eat the same thing and you have a brand new meal. So that is perfect, at least for my family. Another way that I like to save money by preventing food waste is to make sure that I'm storing things in a way that makes them keep the longest. I don't want my food going stale. So if I have cereal, I want to make sure that I'm storing it properly, either in an airtight container or that I'm using it quick enough. Certain things like potatoes, make sure that they're stored in a cool, dry place. Storing things properly definitely helps prevent food waste and helps you not have to buy the item again or waste the money on the food that you didn't actually end up using. I also really like to use all of the parts of the meat, if I have meat, if I can. So for example, at Thanksgiving, we had turkey, and then I took the turkey carcass and made turkey broth out of it. Making bone broth is a great way to get an extra bang for your buck. Bone broth is expensive. It's like, what is it, $2 or more per quart? And I mean, you can make a whole bunch of quarts for basically just the cost of the lids. And heck, you don't even have to pay for the lids if you're not going to can it. Another thing that I like to do is anytime I get any type of liquid, I make sure, can I use all of this or do I need to store some of it? So for example, I had a lot of apple juice and I made apple jelly, so I made sure to use it up. If I wasn't making apple jelly out of it, I would have stored it in the freezer. So in my freezer right now, I do have orange juice and milk because those come in huge containers and we just can't use that much at a time. And so I like to keep it stored in the garage in 1 cup portions because that's perfect for what we need. Now my last tip is in the fridge and I will bring you over there. My last tip has to do with condiments, and I like to keep my condiments that will go bad the quickest on a shelf in my fridge instead of on the door, because then they are front and center and I will make sure to see them. And then everything that is in the door are things that have a longer shelf life. All right, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new here and haven't yet, please subscribe. I'd love to see you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.